What's up, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to God Within the Process. This is a sit down talk that is based on building, creating, and setting a lifestyle on a solid ground of wisdom and motivation. We are here to love, live, and learn. And yes, my name is Shahata, and this is my channel. It's Shahata. I create faith based content, self care based content, vlogs, and motivation based content. And if you like any of those, pretty please like, comment, and subscribe. So today we are speaking about dealing with depression and anxiety. Disclaimer. A serious disclaimer. I am not a doctor, a therapist, or a social worker, so I've never diagnosed anybody with depression and anxiety, and I don't work in that area. But I'm speaking about things that I have experienced and how I technically used God to fix that for me. Thank you. So without that said, and without further ado, let us get straight into the video. What is depression? In my research, depression is a common mental disorder that is characterized by a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest or pleasure in activities. It can affect how you feel, think, and behave, and can lead to emotional and physical problems. This condition is often referred to as major depressive disorder or clinical depression. Let us get to what anxiety is. Anxiety is a natural feeling of worry, fear, or unease, often in response to stress or potential threats. It can be a normal reaction to challenging situations, helping us prepare or cope. However, excessive or persistent anxiety can be a sign of an anxiety disorder, which is a mental health condition that can significantly impact daily life. Let us get into our Bible to Isaiah 41:10. It says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And let us go to Philippians 4:6-7. It says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds through Jesus Christ." God has already told us to be anxious for nothing, to not fight over what the devil brings upon us, but to trust him in all of our ways. But we live in a world that is filled with spiritual entities, people that are speaking things that we do not want to receive. But fear, depression, and anxiety is sticking to our heads because we were given a choice by God to choose Him or the world. So most of the time when anxiety and depression takes over, we are choosing the world. Now, how to deal with depression and anxiety? Dealing with depression and anxiety involves the multifaceted approach, including lifestyle changes, self-help techniques, and professional help when needed. Here are easy points to manage these conditions. Lifestyle adjustment is the first one. Lifestyle adjustment means you need to have regular exercises because regular exercises reduce anxiety and elevate your mood. And the other is healthy diet. Maintaining a healthy diet can support overall well-being and improve your mood also. So the type of food you eat, for instance, when you eat junk food, you're mostly tired and your mind is mostly mixed up with lots of fats that you end up dreaming or overthinking things because there's a lot going on your head. Your mind finds it easy to communicate with itself and it soothes down. And also sufficient sleep. Prioritizing your sleep helps to regulate hormones and can improve mood and cognitive function. So in order for you to function as a person, as a human being, you have to have sufficient sleep. Whenever I know that my hormones are fluctuating, they're choosing to go down instead of up, I always choose sleep because I know that when I listen to my hormones, I react in the way that my hormones want me to, which could lead to depression or anxiety. Sometimes I have depressive thoughts, sometimes I'm overthinking, sometimes I have anxiety based on just getting up outside of the house, which makes it difficult for me to breathe on a day-to-day basis. But in order for me to control my hormones, I make it a point that I have sufficient sleep. Also, limit alcohol and other drugs. Remember, it doesn't mean because you're not smoking or having other drugs, you are not drinking a certain type of drug. You have to make sure that you reduce your so-called painkillers, your so-called every other type of medication that sort of reduces stress at the moment, but not at all times. It goes the same with alcohol. When you drink a lot of alcohol, it slows down your life, it slows down your routine, and it slows down almost every part of your life that brings you light. The second one is a self-help technique. A self-help technique needs a stress management. Remember that most of the time our depression and anxiety is related under stress. It is related under overthinking. So when you are able to manage that, you do practices like meditation, breathing exercises, and mindfulness. All those things can help you calm the nervous system, which is mostly happening in your mind. It becomes easy when you are able to manage your stress because you know that just some things in life you just cannot stress about. There are just some people in life you just cannot stress about. But there are people and environments that bring us anxiety, and you find that you're overthinking things. Sometimes it's not about them. Getting outside of the house has nothing to do with what people will say to you or about you. Whatever you're wearing has nothing to do with what people say or have to say about you. Another self-help technique is relaxation. When you're able to relax, techniques like progressive muscle relaxation can help manage physical tension associated with anxiety. And some people, when they have anxiety, they tend to shake. Their body tends to shake. In my case, that used to be me. When I have anxiety, I could feel that like my head, to me, it would feel like my head is separating and my body is starting to lose a real sense. But all of that can be helped by learning to relax, and also learn to calm your muscles, and learn to do exercises like Pilates or 5-minute exercises. Learn to breathe, learn to exercise on how to manage in big places, so that when you are in a very, very crowded and big environment, you are able to slow down and just breathe and close your eyes and control whatever anxiety is taking over your body. And then another self-help technique is a support group. You need to ask people for easy measures on how to prevent your anxiety and depression. Sometimes there are people who've gone through what you are going through. There are people who are still going through the same thing. Sometimes you can advise even people. You can research on any type of platform to be able to understand. That's how you get your support groups. You get to see that people went through what you're going through, and it is very helpful as a self-help technique. And lastly, we have additional points. My additional points say acknowledge and validate your feelings. It is okay to know that you are anxious and depressed. You need to recognize and validate your emotions. You need to know that at this moment you feel like your head is separating. You feel like your body is separating. You need to acknowledge that and say, you know what, I am stressed. I know I'm stressed. I used to be so in denial of the fact that I'm stressed, and I would show up thinking that, well, it doesn't look like I am, whereas it did. Because we have facial expressions and we have body reactions that show that we are stressed. So if you're going to pretend like you're not, if you're going to act like you're not, you're going to have more and more serious conditions of your depression and anxiety. So when you know you have anxiety, you know you have stress, you know you're depressed, confront it. Tell it that I know I'm stressed, but I trust that God will do something for me. I know I'm stressed, but God has better plans for me. I know I'm stressed, but this too shall pass, right? And also, do not be scared to seek support. In my case, I was like, I don't need no therapist. I don't need nothing. I don't need therapy. I can face my things. I don't need this. I told myself I don't need any help. But trust me, everybody does. Everybody needs help. And if you know that your help, you can't rely on yourself to help yourself. You can't rely on things. Sometimes go to the Bible. There were people who were depressed there. Read the Bible, you'll find that there were people in a situation and they literally went and looked for help. Why don't you go and look for help? Why don't you go and look for help when you are depressed? And also practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself, especially during difficult times. In my case, if I would literally have anxiety, like now, I would be like, why do you have anxiety? Who created? Why? What's going on? I'm already hard on myself, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And I learned to acknowledge, I learned to speak to myself and tell myself, you have anxiety, we are going to pray about it. You have depression, we are going to pray about it. We're going to get out of this. We're going to find measures on how to get out of this. But in the meantime, let's try and look what we can do on a day-to-day basis. You speak to yourself like that. You look yourself in the mirror and you say, you know what? I don't like how I look. I don't like myself at the moment. I don't feel good. But I will get out of this one day. I will find this one day. I shall be delivered by God one day. Lastly, engage in enjoyable activities. You know what made you before you had depression or when you had anxiety. You know that you loved reading, read. You know that you loved dancing, dance. You know that you loved talking to people. Take a video if you don't have people. Take a video every day and express yourself and say like, oh, good morning, everybody. Speak to yourself. Speak to yourself. If you don't have activities to engage with, you don't have people to engage with yourself. You are your own person. You are your own person. Engage with yourself. So that was all for today. Thank you very much for watching up until the end. Love, live, and learn.